Hello, this is Christina Caudill with Radiant Astrology, and today is day 3 of 5 days of destiny, sacred destiny of the eclipse season. So we talked about the nodes, the transiting lunar nodes. The North Node is in Leo and has been since last May, not this year, but the year before, 2016. And we, or 2017, sorry. Oh, wait, what year are we in? We're in 2018. So, and we talked about yesterday the North Node and the South Node and how this is an axis, right? The North Node and the South Node are part of a continuum axis. They are the part of the path of the moon. So we don't ever really want to separate them. Now, for sake of being brief and, say like today I only have 30 minutes for this webinar, we tend to focus on the North Node because that tends to be the area of growth. However, we don't want to think of the South Node as something that is necessarily bad all the time. It can serve us, and it can serve the North Node, and we actually need some of the higher end of the South Node in order to reach our North Node. At least that's the view from evolutionary astrology. Let me see who is joining us today, because I always like to say, oh, hello. Oh, it's Magdalena. I love little Magdalena. Thank you so much for joining me. And I also wanted to, oh, hi, Kine. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank you so much for joining us again. And for those of you from New Paradigm Astrology, I want to say, and especially say hi to you and welcome to Radiant Astrology. I love that group, and thank you, Kai Pacha, for sending all your people over to me. He's so generous and so supportive, and I really appreciate your support, Kai Pacha. Hi, Delphine. Bonjour. Ça va? Ça va bien? And I wanted to just also mention that starting this Saturday, July, what day is it? Today's the 4th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. July 7th. Hi, Daniela. Hi. Oh, it's Jen. Oh, it's the whole New Paradigm crew is here. This Saturday, the 7th, is the first day of the Eclipse of the Heart program. That 7-week program with Kai Pacha and the New Paradigm astrologers. It's going to be all about love, sexuality, relationships, and intimacy. I have the intimacy module, the art of intimacy, where I'll be focused on the moon. But then we'll do a lot of investigating and exploring the retrogrades this summer, in particular the Mars and then the Venus, which is coming up later in the year, Venus retrograde. So we'll be talking a lot about the love planets, the relationship planets, and what that might mean for us and how we can resolve these issues from the past, and we can find ways to move forward in an evolved sense of love and relationships, right? Because we really want to be authentic when it comes to our love, our desire, and our relationships. And so it's a great program. Join us if you can. Visit newparadigmastrology.com. Daniela, can you pop in a link for me in the comments, if you don't mind, for the course? Because it's going to be a great course. And then starting tomorrow, I'm hoping tomorrow I can release the sales page for my course, which is a Women's Eclipse Circle. That starts next week, July 12th. And it's also going to be an amazing 7-week journey online. I'll have more to say about that tomorrow. So I wanted to get back to what we were talking about yesterday, which was the nodal axis. So today we'll talk about your North Node and the transiting nodes, okay? But first, it was a question yesterday because we talked about sacred activism. And I was specifically focused a lot on like the South Node in Aquarius, because Aquarius tends to represent, these themes of activism, as well as Uranus, right? Because Uranus is being squared by Mars and Uranus has just entered a new sign, Taurus. So we're seeing a lot of Uranian activity, as well as a lot of the South Node and Aquarius activity with Mars triggering that as well. And someone had asked, why are we speaking about activism? Because isn't the South Node, where the South Node is, isn't that what we need to like release and get rid of? And in a sense, that's true. That's the portal to the past. And it helps us to see some areas that have been dragging us down, or maybe an opening from the past where we can see where the past maybe has served us but has kept us stuck. And we often want to move more toward the North Node, but it ultimately is always about balancing the two and seeing how the South Node can serve the North Node. But if we just look at what's happening in the world, right, that there is a lot of activism. There are people saying they need to really very loudly and in great numbers express their voice about society and about the changes that are needed. So, we can look at the astrology and see what are some of the messages and the signatures of what's happening with the nodes, for example. But we also have to check back with reality and what is actually happening in the world to get the fuller picture. I remember when the North Node was about to transit into Leo, and so many people were saying, oh, yay, that means it's a great party for the next, year and a half or whatever. And it's going to be party and fun and over the top, because everybody loves that about Leos. And, but, it hasn't been. And even at that time, it was like, that's not really the vibe in the world right now. The vibe in the world is saying it's time for every single person, every ordinary person, the collective, the Aquarian sort of audience group network, to each find ways to rise up in a Leo way. I think that's a really beautiful expression of this nodal transit, is because, even though we think of there's only certain people with that Leo specialness, they're going to lead us all, and some one person with that message that's going to inspire us all, we can't wait for that to happen. Because we keep hearing so many people saying this is the end of the age of the guru. Well, it's because we each know that we each are special and we have a light within us, and it's up to us to nurture that and to share that. So I hope that makes a little more clarity that Leo and Aquarius, even though they can be polar opposites, they're on the same axis, so this activism that we tend to associate with Aquarius is also the same, a different side of the coin of the Leo special. I am what's my special talent, what's my special creativity, and how can I share it and stand out from the crowd in a way that then has a higher purpose than just me. It's something that's bigger than myself. And that would be more of that Aquarian signature. So that's one view, right? Because these archetypes cover so much of life and so much of our experience. If you think about, there's only 12 zodiac signs, and those 12 zodiac signs are supposed to encompass every possibility of human experience. So when we just narrow them down to keywords, that helps us to sort of get a sense of what that sign might mean, but there's usually so much more to it than just a keyword. So let's get back to, let me just see if there's any questions. I'll just check in real quick. Hi, Maria. Hi, Romea. Did you find your North Node, Romea? I know I have your chart somewhere, but I didn't have a chance to look it up. And you can just pop in your birth date there. I'm sure someone will can help you with that. Okay, so what we want to do today on this July 4th, and thank you for joining me on a holiday. It's a national holiday. It's our America's birthday celebration. Yay. look at your north node, right? And so what we want to do is know that our nodes are being activated, especially during this time of the eclipses, because the eclipses are when, you know, these lunations, the sun moon alignment is within a certain orb of the transiting north nodes. And so that's what gives us this real feeling of fate and destiny unfolding. And as I said, sometimes it can be very subtle, but if we're paying attention, and oftentimes it's when we look back that we can see that there were some significant, maybe internal decisions that we made, or changes that we made from an internal place of saying no or saying yes. And sometimes, usually solar eclipses, they say that we see things happening in the outer world, things happening to us. Things are a little bit more impactful, maybe in a physical way or in our reality, whereas lunar eclipses tend to be either a spiritual shift or an intuitive shift, something within us. I think they're both really, the potential is about our internal transformation, the internal shifts that we make when we open up to saying there's something greater than me happening, and it's up to us to say yes to it. And let me look at my notes. And okay, so your north node, let's just kind of focus on our north nodes just for brevity. If you know where your north node is, again, as I said, you can go to planetwatcher.com and just pop in your birth date, and you'll find, you know, your node. If you look at the little node glyph, maybe I should do that now. I'll share my screen. And there's me. There's Romeo. There's Isabella. Oh, hi. Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so here is Planet Watcher, and I just refresh it. It's a free site online. And you see that little, I don't know, north node glyph? That's the north node. So if you pop in your birth date right there, then the chart that shows up, that'll be your birth chart. And then you can look at where that little glyph falls. Right now it's in Leo, conjunct Mercury, and exactly opposite would be the south node. This doesn't show the south node. I don't know why. And you can see Mars is right there by the south node. I think all that is exact tomorrow. It's a lot more exact tomorrow, the Mercury-Mars opposition. And so what we want to do is look at, okay, the transiting node now is at north, the north node is in Leo. And so for this whole eclipse season, this month and through the first half of next month, the north node is only going to move a couple of degrees. So it's going to be here in the first decan of Leo. So let's say you have your north node in Aries, okay? And just for the sake of how these nodes relate to the transiting nodes, it can show us, you know, we want to ask ourselves, have we learned our lessons of the Leo North Node? The Leo North Node saying, have the courage to speak up or to create or to shine something about yourself and your specialness in the world, to be bold. And so Aries is trine Leo. Okay. They're both fire signs. They're both, what we call like positive sort of, I don't know if they call it aggressive, or I don't like to use that word, but like yang energy. Right. And Aries is cardinal and Leo is fixed. So Leo is that we tend to think of fixed as stubbornness, hard to change, but it really is like stable. Okay. So as I said yesterday, something is crystallizing in us that we could potentially carry with us, potentially the rest of our lives. What is that courage? And so the Aries fire can relate to that Leo fire. Whereas the Aries is more about, you know, it's ruled by Mars. It can be more of that me first, maybe even a warrior energy. Like I'll fight for my independence or fight to be first or something like that. And the Leo, the higher side of Leo is really, you know, we think about it, the sun rules it, that generosity, that, that shining one's light so that it can grow life kind of thing. And so, you know, looking at if you have North Node in Aries, which your lesson is actually about having some independence, finding your way and knowing that you can rely on yourself. And so how are you doing with your Leo North Node? Are you able to find that independence streak in order to be creative, in order to find joy? So it's not all, maybe, you know, again, we all have our own complete charts. This is just one slice of it. But maybe instead of it being fighting so much, maybe there can be some creative juice, creative fire that can fuel that independent streak. Let me see. I had another image. Let me just go to my images because there's too much going on here in this in this chart. I think I had saved an image of, where is it? Oh, did I not? Hold on. Let's see. Could have sworn I had an image. Oop, nope. Just bear with me for 1 second. Where did it go? Okay, I guess I'll have to use this for now. Sorry for all this other stuff happening in this chart. So if your North Node is in Taurus, that's an earth sign, and that would be square Leo. So that could be more of a challenge to integrate. Taurus is also a fixed sign, and it being square Leo, you know, there can be some real growth opportunity there, but it can feel like maybe being taken off your path. The North Node in Taurus seeks stability. However, you know, depending on where your North Node is in Taurus, Uranus just entered your sign, and so into your North Node. And so there is definitely this shaking up and this breaking away of patterns, of maybe stuck patterns. And just ask yourself, how has your ability to be bold and to be creative and to find joy and to be inspiring, how much is that relevant in your life right now? I mean, a North Node in Taurus really is seeking stability and even peace and wants to be away from the Scorpio drama in some ways. And this growth opportunity, though, for this Leo ability to be courageous, you know, maybe it's being courageous in how you survive, how you make your money, how you evolve your skills and what you do. You know, all these sort of Taurus signatures. Again, so this is the last eclipse season with the North Node in Leo for like 19 years. And it's asking us to find our courage. And Taurus is about the throat and the voice. Have you found your voice yet? What is your voice that needs to be expressed? What's your message? If your North Node is in Gemini, that would be sextile by sign, right? That would be sextile Leo. And so that can be a boost. That can be something that you likely have to engage with and work with. But, you know, this is a Mercury sign about communication and learning. It's also about things like siblings and your community, your neighbors. Have you found your courage? Have you found a way to be bold in these areas? You know, maybe it's writing the book. Maybe it's taking the class that and finding some kind of engagement with your mind or with your communication that can really feel like a shift in your destiny. So I'm just going to kind of go through these kind of quickly and I'll look at questions afterward. If your North Node is in Cancer, which is interesting because we're going to be having the nodes at the end of this year. I think around November, the North Node will shift into Cancer, for a little bit over like a year and a half. And so you'll be getting that call to destiny when you have the nodal return, that alignment with your path of evolution. And, and then this coming eclipse on the 12th will be right there at 20 degrees, Cancer. And so when we have this signs next to each other, it's like a semi-sextile. Those are significant too, but they can also be challenging as to, have you integrated your lessons, the Cancer lessons of feeling safe, feeling secure. The shadow of Cancer can be insecurity. Insecurity can make us shut down, can make us be defensive. Can so much so that maybe we cannot be open to that softness and that care of Cancer. And Leo is asking us, again, to be bold and take risks, and to play, right? And how can we play and be bold and take risks and shine and inspire if we don't really feel safe at a very internal level? Do we feel safe and cared for? And so it's kind of integrating these two. Maybe we need to take a risk in certain areas in order then to find that we are safe and to accept that we are safe, we're cared for, we can nourish ourselves, we can nourish those that we love. If your North Node is in Leo, then congratulations, you've had your nodal return. And nodal returns can be really interesting because, again, they can really be alignments. The nodal axis, oftentimes people say, is a relationship axis, because any opposition deals with others, with, where one side is coming from versus some kind of opposition from another. Usually there's alignments happening in relationships. Are your relationships supporting who you're becoming, who you feel you're meant to become? Sometimes people feel like they're having a some kind of identity crisis as this alignment starts to happen. Because maybe you can feel like where you've been holding yourself back, where you haven't been living up to your potential. And these nodal shifts can really be, sometimes they can be extreme, opening up to something higher, something greater, some courage, some calling for creativity, and really releasing, which the South Node here in Aquarius, releasing that which is no longer fueling your specialness, your special destiny. If your North Node is in Virgo, that again, that is these signs next to each other, that can struggle with having to integrate the lessons, okay? Because with Leo being bold about me, about playing, about creativity, about taking risks, the Virgo archetype, these are lessons about humility and service and unpacking and digesting things. It's literally the digestive system. And so it's taking that which comes through the subconscious, the opposite side of Pisces, and just making sense of it and bringing it into the real world. And so there can be a struggle there to learn the lessons of Leo, which is, get out of the sense of being servile and know that you have a special destiny. Maybe your special destiny is to serve. But there's a difference between serving and being servile, right? Being like a servant, feeling like, you don't exist. The collective is saying we all need to somehow find our voice and share it. Find where we shine. There's so much of like these movements of light workers and You know, that seems to really be a calling now. Like, we're all called to be light workers in some way in our lives. And that light is symbolized by Leo. If your North Node is in Libra, you know, those are lessons around relating, right? Those are lessons around growth, around finding balance and harmony. And that is sextile to the North Node in Leo, right? So look at how that can actually help too. As we know, a sextile is a supportive type of aspect. And so see how this Leo, you know, Leo being in the final stages of its, or the North Node being in its final sort of stages of this Leo transit, how is that helpful in you finding balance in relationships? You know, maybe it is, I think Leo at its best can be great at giving love bombs, you know, letting people feel special, shining their light on other people, boosting other people. Maybe there's something around that for Libras. If your North Node is in Scorpio, as I said, mine is, Scorpio, again, it also depends on the house and everything, but just by sign, we can see this is, as I said, it's square. It's another fixed sign, an opposite Taurus, square to Leo. So we Scorpio North Nodes have really been challenged. The challenge for the North Node in Scorpio is metamorphosis, to push beyond your limitations in whatever area of life, say this house, your North Node falls in, to push beyond, to be created anew from deep within. And that may mean stepping out of your comfort zone and finding your courage to go deep, which is what Scorpio is about. You know, it's that depth. It's dealing with sex, death, endings, all kinds of things that transform us at a deep level, things that shape us, right? So just asking yourself, how much have I found the courage to step into the light, which is Leo, from this depth of Scorpio? You know, if your growth potential North Node is in Sagittarius, that is another trine, right? It's trine to Leo. It's a fire sign. Now, the lessons of Sagittarius are exploration, going into, you know, taking that spiritual quest on. And it's about the journey, not so much the destination. It's the continual search for wisdom. And can you maybe bring some more play and lightness and joy and glamour, even entertainment, whatever, of Leo into this quest for truth and justice? Maybe it can help that quest. If your North Node is in Capricorn, Capricorns have been having it with the, with Pluto on its own South Node, with Saturn entering your sign since last December. And starting, as I said, the end of this year, the South Node will be going through Capricorn, right? So we're going to have to release some of the shadow of Capricorn, which can be that overly controlling, authority type of thing. Now, this aspect is called a quincunx, and it's can be a very uncomfortable aspect that needs some adjustment, right? We don't really can see how Capricorns, this Capricorn energy, it's an earth sign, it's a cardinal sign, it's about discipline and achievement and authority. And here it's dealing with like this, the child energy, the queen, the king energy of Leo. But we all have lessons that we can learn from this North Node transit. So during this eclipse season, ask yourself, any kind of leader, because these both deal with leadership. You know, they say Leo is the king and Saturn is the prime minister. Saturn like gets things done, gets down to business. But that's the thing is Leo at its best will have people follow them because they want to follow the leader, a warm, shining leader. They don't want to be coerced or to be forced like Capricorns tend to do. I'm a Capricorn, so I can say that. So, how can this boldness and courageousness and brightness of Leo help the Capricorn North Node need for achievement and leadership? And so if you have North Node in Aquarius, then you're having an inverse nodal return. And those are just as significant as the nodal returns because, you know, anytime these nodes align, then it is like a sudden alignment with where you're going in life. You may suddenly see that what you've really held on to be an area of growth, you may start to see how it's not serving you. You know, they can tend to be a little more dramatic than I think than the nodal returns, the inverse nodal return where the where the transiting south node is on your north node. You know, sometimes it can feel like you're just going over old territory. Or you really need to release some kind of aspiration or dream that is just no longer serving you in order to really grow. There's a lot of release here happening for this eclipse season for, you know, the Aquarian in general because of the Mars retrograde and the South Node. So if this is your North Node, though, that can really be a real call to transform in areas of growth. A lot of times we'll see relationships will have a sudden switcheroo, or it can bring in people that can just really challenge you to grow. And those can be even really uncomfortable, even if they're good for us. So really significant relationships would be interesting to look at too. And also in terms of friendships, because that's, you know, one of the things that Aquarius symbolizes, our networks, our friends, our social networks. Where do we need to release? Where do we feel so alienated that we don't belong, that it's not serving us? So it's time to find a new group, people that you agree with on a fundamental level, on how, you know, you want to contribute to society, or what kind of world we want to live in and create. And with the North Node there, the North Node lessons of Leo being like, yes, you don't have to shine or shy away in the crowd. We all have something special within us that's worth voicing. If your North Node is in Pisces, that again is another sort of quincunx, uncomfortable, like hard to relate to aspect. We know if Pisces is, you know, it's been having Neptune in your sign. And the North Node in Pisces is learning to release the perfectionism of Virgo and move more toward accepting that there are greater forces at work, and that releasing is some of the most beautiful ways that we can reach our spirituality, our divine. Knowing that things will fall, the chips will fall where they're meant to. And how this relates to Leo, again, that can be very uncomfortable, because with the Leo, it's kind of like the sun, the ego, the brightness. And it's kind of like learning to trust that there's just as many inspiring messages by inspiring leaders in the world as there are disturbing messages. And so trying to discern the difference, and not just with your mind, but with your intuition. What is your intuition telling you is really worth serving, worth growing? Where can you shine in a way where you are bringing more spirit to the world? So let's see, that's just like a quick little tour of the zodiac. And so we want to, let me look at questions. Hopefully that made some sense to people. Right on about Capricorn. Yeah, I have a lot of Capricorn. I've got ascendant Mercury and the sun in Capricorn. Delphine, North Node in Pisces in the 8th. Oh yes, the 8th house. And that the 8th house definitely has those scorpionic signatures, right? Because that's Scorpio's natural house. So there is, that deep transformation and that, releasing into it. Let's see. Arlene says, what is the North Node's effect by the house it transits? So yes, so the house as well. Now, for simplicity's sake, we put the house and the sign like similarly archetypally. They have an archetypal resonance. So the sign is sort of the quality of that planet or that object. And the house is the area of life that planet tends to show up in, right? So when you're having a transit of a planet, it's going to say, Mars. Mars in Aquarius is going to be doing Aquarian things in a Martian way in the house it's transiting. Let's see. Hello from South Africa. North Node in Scorpio in the 6th. Oh, wow. You've got, good for you. You know all of your placements. 5 planets in Leo in the 3rd, opposing Chiron Aquarius. Oh, wow. So you're really having a lot going on in Leo and Aquarius right now. And Jean-Baptiste has Sagittarius in the 12th. Okay, that's great. We want to really honor where our North Node is asking us to grow, but we don't want to forget that it can be fueled also by our South Node. We also want to look at Leo because, Leo gets a bad rap, especially in this no ego type of world we're living in. And, there's so many different messages we get from the spiritual community about ego. As with anything, we want to have a healthy relationship to it. I mean, we incarnated with an ego. And I think we can sense if we're attuned to how we're operating in the world, when our ego is getting overinflated, when we're letting praise get to us, and then we're letting criticism just destroy us. Finding a way to honor our inner Leo. We all have a sun, right? We all have a sun sign that rules Leo. Leo, the North Node in Leo is transiting somewhere in our chart, in our Leo house. And we want to look at that and honor that and come back to how is this transit of the North Node in Leo? Are we getting these messages? Are we getting these lessons? It's like this is our last opportunity this eclipse season to really look at how we can all find the courage to shine and integrate our own North Node lessons in that. As we've seen, some it's easier than others, right? The fire signs likely can have a little more ease with that because those are trines. The squares, the fixed signs may find it really challenging, but really can see that growth potential. Okay, so I hope that has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me today on this void moon day today. It's a void moon all day, so I hope you can relax a little bit, enjoy it. And tomorrow, I'm super excited about tomorrow. Let's see, what do we have on? I remember I had something really special on tomorrow, so let me check it out so I can make sure I'm giving you the right info. And just so you know, these lives will be on my Radiant Astrology YouTube channel. So if you missed part of it in the beginning, or if you can't make any of the lives, it will be, the recording will be on Radiant Astrology on YouTube. Okay, so Thursday is the alchemical healing of community. There is something really special about community, and the alchemy of eclipses. We can definitely spend the eclipse period contemplating what it means for us, what's happening in our lives, self-soothing. And that may be the exact right thing for people. However, I know from my experience from leading many eclipse circles that having a space where we can connect, even online, with other like-minded spiritual seekers, exploring our astrology, sharing our experiences, can be a very powerful way to really get the most of this transformative time. So we'll be talking about the alchemical healing of community during eclipses. I'll share that tomorrow. And also put on your calendar next Monday, July 9th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I am doing a webinar on the eclipses, so I'm going to be kind of summarizing all this. I'll answer your questions on the eclipse charts and on the nodes, and I'll be doing a preview of my eclipse circle, which starts July 12th, called Sacred Destiny. So you don't want to miss that. It's a free webinar. Make sure you're signed up to radiantastrology.com to the newsletter to get the Zoom link for that. And with that, I'll just wrap it up. I'll wish you a very happy 4th of July. And I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here at Radiant Astrology on Facebook. All right, see you then. Bye.